Great. Well, thank you for joining, everyone. We'll just quickly do some introductions and then we'll dive into the material. Very quickly, my name is Caroline. I help lead the customer success and support teams in Kiln. So looking after all our customers. If you have any issues, feel free to raise them to myself or other members of our team. I'm very pleased to introduce Sebastian, who's our principal engineer working primarily on Ethereum. If you don't mind giving a couple of quick words on yourself.
Hello. I'm Sebastian. I've been leading the infrastructure side of Ethereum at Kiln for 4 years and a half now. My focus is mostly on research and development these days. Nice to meet you, I guess.
Brilliant. Loic, if you don't mind doing a quick intro to yourself as well.
Yep. Hey everyone, I'm Loic. I've been at Kiln for 4 or 5 years as well, mainly on the product side, helping launch all our Ethereum and Ethereum staking related products. So yeah, nice to be here.
And finally, very pleased for Nicolas to have joined us as well from the Ethereum Foundation. If you don't mind quickly introducing yourselves, Nico. Thank you.
Hey, nice to meet you all. I'm Nicolas from the Ethereum Foundation, and I'm doing coordination, which is a very broad mandate, but I'm especially coordinating the applications and the Ethereum protocol. So everything that's related to Ethereum upgrade is my topic. So glad to be here today.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm just gonna proceed with the... Sorry, I'm just having some issue with the slides, the presentation. So on the agenda today, we have just a very quick introduction to Kiln. We're primarily a staking services provider, and that's probably why you may or may not have heard of us. But actually yesterday, we announced a launch of a partnership on our second product line called Kiln DeFi, with a couple of partners, which we're really excited about as well. So we provide staking services and access to stablecoin yield. Currently, we run about 5% of the Ethereum validators on the network. And we, last year, just in terms of the kind of performance of the validation services we provided, we slightly outperformed the network. You can see the statistics at the bottom of the page by about 3%, something like that, in terms of the difference between the network average and our rewards. So the agenda today, why is Pectra important? Slide 4. Then we just have a quick overview of some of the challenges that we have today with Ethereum staking on the mainnet. Introducing the 0x2 validator, or the compounding validator, that provides quite a lot of new features as part of Pectra that we're excited to explore with you. And then I think one of the highlights definitely will be the showing the demo of the dashboard that we've developed, making consolidation, compounding, and some of the benefits of Pectra, making them really accessible to you as a staker through a nice new UI. We'd like to quickly discuss some of the risks on Pectra that you may or may not be aware about, and then some of the new features that are coming in as part of the Pectra upgrade that are not related to staking, but are still part of the wider upgrade that's going on. We'd like to discuss some of those as well. Hopefully we'll have time for some Q&A at the end. I know we started a bit late. If we don't, we'll give our details at the end if you want to follow up with any of us. And we also have some additional resources, like a blog released yesterday, and a really nice tool that's been developed as well to help you understand Pectra more. All right, so very quickly, why is Pectra quite important? Why should you be thinking about it? So Pectra is an upgrade that is coming on the Ethereum network predicted for the 7th of May. That changed around a few times, but I think it's pretty set in stone from what I understand now. On the back of several other upgrades like Duncan and Chapella, which happened in previous years, this is an important upgrade, and there are 11 Ethereum improvement proposals as part of it. And we'll focus mostly on the staking related ones today. But I guess why else is it of interest? And I guess with the timing, there's increased institutional adoption of Ethereum that we see. Many asset managers have launched ETFs in Ethereum over the last year. And in Europe, you can access staking yield as part of these ETFs. But in other regions, we're still waiting regulatory clarity that we believe will come this year, although don't hold us to that. But it's likely to come this year, which will bring increased adoption as well, we believe. And I believe some of the improvements that come with Pectra will really have make the staking experience much nicer, and we'll go into that very quickly in very shortly. Secondly, Ethereum is being there's a lot of improvements that are happening that mean the network is increasingly getting better and better from a staking, but also from taking part in it. So, for example, and we'll delve into these, to activate a validator, it now will take about 45 minutes after Pectra, whereas as long as the queue is empty, which is something we'll go into, but previously it took a lot longer than that. There'll also be cost reduction benefits. For example, if you've got a data heavy transaction, there will be lower gas fees than previously. And there'll also be very nice features. So the direct benefit to stakers include things like actually increased annual yield. So the auto compounding feature of Pectra will enable increased yield by over 1.5%. So that will probably be of interest to a lot of people. It'll be easier to manage your validators. You'll be able to consolidate them into bigger validators, and there'll be better liquidity benefits. So these are all benefits we'll dive into in a minute. I'll hand over to Seb, I think, for...
Yeah, I can take this one. So just a few words about the current challenges of Ethereum as it is today. So one problematic that the network has is that it has a lot of validators, about 1 million today. And this is a very different situation on other blockchains, where usually you have a few validators and then millions of stakes on those validators. Ethereum is different because one stake is one validator. And the big issue with this is that because validators have to attest every once per epoch and propose blocks every now and then, they need to exchange a lot of messages, like P2P messages. And this there is basically a limit to the numbers of messages you can exchange. And so the more validators you add, the more load there is on the network. And there were a few simulations made by the EF on this, which were suggesting at some point that there would be strong blocking points at around 2 million validators. And because the number of stakes is increasing on the network, there was a need to have a solution to this this basically constraint. And so Pectra brings a new types of validator, which Loic will describe a bit after, with a way to basically bypass this issue. Another issue is on the flexibility side. So there is as of today, there is no easy way to natively stake something else than 32 ETH, which means you have to go through pooling or alternative solutions to this, which has a risk and on top of it because it's smart contracts and so on. And there is also no way to partially exit a stake. That is once you've staked 32, you either withdraw everything or keep it. But there is no middle ground to this. Then because, as I mentioned, if you want those features, you need to go to abstract solutions with poolings and so on. It means that there is a centralization risk to the network because a lot of stakes are incentivized, a lot of stakers are incentivized to move to pooling solutions, Slido, and so on. And so there is a sort of risk if there is two ways of staking. One which is native and really strong for the protocol, but with fewer features and more flexible ones, which introduce new risks. And finally, for stakers, there is also an operational complexity, especially if you stake a lot of ETH. If you stake 300 ETH, it's not very convenient to have to follow the performances of 8 or 9 validators. So that's what Pectra tries to solve from a staking perspective with the introduction of a new type of validator, the OX2 validator, and Loic is going to go through the different features around this.
Yep, thank you. So this new type of validator, so let's say technical term would be OXO2, but we would call that compounding validators, is really like a new complete type of validator. So the one we know today, the OX1, which are skimming, stay the same. Nothing changes in this model. But we introduce with Pectra a new type of validator on the Ethereum network, which has different properties, which are very interesting. The first one is the scalable staking balance. As you may know, like as of today, the OX1 or skimming validator that exists today have like a fixed 32 ETH balance. You cannot stake more or less. You need to basically do 32 ETH per validator and always think in terms of multiple of 32 ETH when you're doing your staking treasury. With this new type of validator, this is kind of over because you can have on one validator any amount between 32 and 2048 ETH, which is the equivalent of 64 validator today. And something worth mentioning is that you can really have any amount between these ranges. So it can be like 33 ETH, for example, 33.5. It doesn't have to be like a multiple of 32 ETH. So this is like really more convenience in general for staking because you don't always have like exactly a multiple of 32 ETH to stake. So just better liquidity management there. And this new type of validator, with it like comes a new operation to the network that is called consolidation. And it's meant to help you migrate your existing staking infrastructure to this new type of validator. So typically what you can do is consolidate validators together, like it would effectively merge them. So you have a source validator, a target validator, and your source validator balance will go directly to the target validator balance. And you will have all of a sudden a bigger validator. So that's a new tool that's coming as well with Pectra to help you do this migration from the existing validator model to the new compounding validator model. So typically, like you can consolidate 63 validator to one validator to have a max compounding validator at 2048 ETH balance. And with these validators comes like a few bunch of features which I was mentioning. So next slide, please. The first one being the partial deposits. So yeah, if we can just skip this slide. But yeah, I'll start. But basically, like you have like three main features that are coming with these validators. The first one is the partial deposits. So as I mentioned, you can have any amount between the 32 and 2048 ETH range on your validator. So that means that you can at first deposit your validator and then deposit again on it any amount you want. So that's very useful if you are managing your liquidity. Let's say you're like, for example, an exchange that's staking, you want to stake like every week what your user want to stake. You just take what they want to stake and stake them directly to the validator. You don't have to think into multiple of 32 ETH anymore, which is very convenient. But it also applies for like smaller stakers. For example, like solo stakers can just spin up their first 32 ETH validator and then add top up like 1 ETH or 2 ETH whenever they have more liquidity to stake. Then there is the partial exits as well, where you can basically, as long as you stay between this 32 and 2048 ETH range, partial exit any amount on your stake balance. So typically, like if you have a 33 ETH validator in compounding mode, you can remove 1 ETH to go back to 32, add 2 ETH more, remove 1 ETH, and so on. So really like better liquidity management overall. And yeah, just better UX, right? And then like this comes also like with and also an added feature, which is why we call them compounding validators. It's because the stake balance on these validators actually compounds, which means that the consensus layer rewards that you earn, which is about 75% of the rewards you earn on the staking validator today, is directly coming back to the stake balance and directly taken into account as a stake balance. So you effectively have a compounding of your consensus rewards, so of most of your APY basically, on these validators, which is also a very good UX improvement for stakers, mainly like solo stakers who can really benefit from this compounding rate, which they couldn't have before because you would need like before like 32 ETH of rewards to stake another validator back. So it was only benefited like really big stakers. Here like it's better UX in general for all type of stakers. So next slide, kind of the recap, the visualization of this, like the validators that we have today, the 0x1 skimming, they stay the same. You still can stake like 32 ETH on 101 validator, have the reward skim back to your wallet. But if you want, you can either migrate your O1 validator or stake new validator as O2 validators and benefit from all these properties. So bigger balances up to 2048 ETH, auto compounding, partial deposits, and partial withdrawal, which is pretty efficient. And next slide. With this upgrade comes also like a lot of UX improvements. So as Karen mentioned earlier, like faster validator activation. Now, without taking into account the entry queue, the validators go directly to the consensus layer in 45 minutes, which is way more convenient than the 12 hours we had before. You can migrate your stake with the consolidation mechanism. So let's say you are on a custody solution today on a wallet, or that you use a certain staking provider, you can effectively migrate your stakes that you have in this infrastructure to stakes you spawn up in other infrastructures for almost no cost. So that's very, again, like another tool for you to be more flexible with your staking infrastructure. And also something worth mentioning is that these partial exits can also be used to trigger the unstaking of the validator from the withdrawal credential of the validator. And that means that for the first time in Ethereum staking, you can actually trigger the unstaking of the validator yourself without having access to the validation key, which is very key because in the ecosystem today, the validation key are running in operator infrastructure. The user we generally don't have it for security reasons. But with Pectra, it will still be able to trigger the unstaking without the staking provider doing anything of its validator. So that's also very good for like business continuity element. For example, if you're using a staking provider today that just disappears all of a sudden, you will still be able to trigger the unstaking on your side manually. And so, yeah, I wanted to ask a quick question to Nicolas on this part and on this new type of validator. Just wanted to have your view on what's the goal of the ecosystem regarding this bigger validator. Like, do you plan the ecosystem to migrate slowly to this new type of validator? Do you plan to have like big push from the Ethereum Foundation to go there? Like, is it really necessary that like in 2 months there is only compounding validators, or can we still keep the old validators? What's kind of the view of DEF on that?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be like a slow rollout of the upgrade. So it's not critical that we move right now to new max EB, but it is good. It is good overall for the network, and basically every consolidation makes the P2P messages a bit lighter. So as Sebastian explained at the beginning, every single communication, so as we speak, it's happening. Everyone verifies everyone. And this operation is more intense as the number of validators grows. So far, so good. The network isn't like bloated by this. But on the long run, yes, we would like people to consolidate as much as possible. Obviously, like not everyone can have more than 32 ETH. It's already like a substantial amount of money. So there is two things here. We don't want like people that only have 32 ETH to like not spin out new validators and not be like home stakers. We really want to encourage this home staker behavior, and this doesn't change. But what we really want to see is like bigger operators such as Kiln to consolidate, because this effectively makes the network lighter and simply better for everyone. So this is something we expect to happen over the next few months. And I think it's going to happen naturally because for operators, it's a EV plus move. You only have a positive aspect to it. So yeah, I don't see why a big operator wouldn't consolidate. Maybe there is a reason or something that I don't see. Maybe you guys have more input on this, but yeah, I think from what I understand, everyone is preparing to consolidate. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, definitely prepared to consolidate and support this new flow. Actually, we're going to do a quick demo of what it will look like at Kiln. Yeah, Caroline.
Yeah, thanks. So before we jump into this, on the Kiln dashboard testnet, for those of you using it, we already have 2 Pectra related features available for you to try out. And we are releasing more in the next week. So some of what we're about to show is there already. I'll point that out. And some is coming in the next couple of days. So yeah, watch this space. So yeah, just before, so let's just go to this slide quickly. This shows some screenshots from the dashboard. On the left, you can see this is where you want to create a new compounding validator. Compounding, another word for 0x2 validator. Sorry if we're using kind of quite technical terms here, but I guess there's 2 kinds of validators. I know you've seen this already. Skimming is what's there already. Compounding is the new one. And they also are called 0x1 and 0x2 is the new kind. So this just shows a screenshot of where you're staking, a different number from a 32 ETH multiple. And then on the consolidation summary on the right-hand side, you can see here, this is almost like a dashboard to see, you have target validators, source validators. These are new terms that didn't really exist before Pectra. That's my understanding. And you can, the ones circled in orange are where you're going to consolidate them. And so we'll go through a couple of flows here, but this is just showing what this is about to look like and already does look like on the Kiln dashboard. And there's also an estimation of the fees you can see in the top right and an estimation of the queue length. So that will hopefully help you in your kind of consolidation journey. It's worth mentioning also just 2 other quick points. One is you don't have to upgrade. I think Nicola already covered this. We think, or it's thought that it's beneficial to upgrade, especially for the bigger operators. But the 0x1 validators or the skimming validators remain valid. You just won't have these additional features, partial deposits, partial exits, auto compounding. And it's also worth quickly mentioning that, yeah, on the Kiln dashboard, there's, I guess, 5 different features, something like that will come with Pectra. So you can create a compounding validator. You can convert existing validators into a compounding validator. You can merge or consolidate several validators into one. And then there's partial deposits and partial withdrawals. So these are some of the really nice features. So I'll just go into the demo next. It's just gonna play a video here. Hopefully this works. So yeah, the first one is basically creating a new compounding validator. I'm just stopping it just because it goes really quickly, this video. But you can see here, this is on the homepage of the Kiln dashboard. You're in the staking section and you literally just press create new validator on the right. So that's what's going on. And this, is creating a new compounding validator 0x2. You press stake and then you can see it's activating. But the activation process is a lot quicker than it was before Pectra. So that's the first flow. The second is consolidating existing validators. So this is where you have one compounding validator already. You press compound so that you connect your wallet, and then you compound these existing skimming validators consolidate into the compounding validator. So that's like almost like merging, as Loic said, several validators into one. And you can do that for Kiln and non-Kiln validators. So that previous screenshot showed non-Kiln validators being merged. So that's a flexibility that the dashboard enables, which hopefully will be a good thing for you when you're trying to figure out the steps. Add Ethereum to an existing validator. So this is a partial deposit, one of the additional features of Pectra, which is super nice. That's a really quick one. And then partial withdrawals. So you can see here, you can either deposit or withdraw, and you can withdraw a smaller amount than 32 ETH, and that's happening. So yeah, a whistle-stop tour there. But as mentioned, 2 of these are already live in the Kiln dashboard testnet today. So that's the create compounding validator. So create a new compounding or 0x2 validator, and then convert existing validator into a compounding validator. So almost like transform an existing validator into a compounding one. All right, hope you are still with us, attendees. Thank you. And let's go on to the next slide. Just 1 second. Sorry. All right. Sorry. Over to the risks. So
Yeah, I will take this one. So as you probably know, on the staking side, there are, I would say, 2 categories of risk on Ethereum. One is slashing risk, and the second one is diversity risk. So on the slashing risk, there is a big change to the penalty model. So like basically, like when you operate a validator or when you have a stake with a validator has to perform some duties, and if it violates the rules of the protocol, as in like if it tries to do something that is not allowed by the specifications, the protocol is going to protect itself by slashing the validator, which means removing it from the validating set and also incurring some loss for the validator. Like there is a penalty associated to slashing. And so with Pectra, because now like validators can be up to 2048 if there was no change to the existing model, it means that a very large validator would potentially lose a lot of ETH by being slashed. So there was a revamp of the slashing penalty. But the TLDR is like if you have one validator that is slashed, before Pectra, you would lose at least 1 ETH. After Pectra, you would lose 1 ETH divided by 4,000 at the minimum. So it's like 4,000 less impacting for a single slashing event post Pectra. Sorry, I'm just rolling a bit back. So there are 3 components to the slashing penalty. One is like the initial penalty. So this thing goes from 1 ETH to almost 0. Then there is a correlation penalty. So this is basically like when there is a lot of slashing events happening at the same time of your validators being slashed, there is a quadratic penalty applied to it. And the idea behind it is to prevent attackers from doing large-scale attacks on Ethereum. So this does not change, and you also have like some small penalty like because your validator is down for a period of 36 days, and you accumulate attestation misses. So TLDR, small slashing events are going to be way less impacting for stakers, while large slashing events won't change that much because most of the most of the penalty will be on the correlation part. If you can go back 1 slide, I think we went a bit too fast. So this basically means that the slashing is like less impacting, but there is still like the second, let's say, risk you are taking as a staker is the diversity risk. And this is especially important as with what we saw on Holesky. So on the Holesky testnet, there was like multiple bugs that led to basically 2/3 of the network being slashed. By this, like if this had happened on mainnet, like 2/3 of all stakers would have lost all of the values due to these bugs. So yeah, on the next slide. And so it's really important that you rely on operators that are using minority consensus clients to reduce the risk behind this. And as of today, so like this screenshot was from yesterday. So there are actually like two consensus client types that are above 1/3 of the network. So if you are using like something that is above 1/3 of the network, you are taking a diversity risk. And let's say you are using Prism today. If there is a consensus bug on Prism, there is a risk that those bugs is going to like make you lose like basically these bugs happen at scale. Sorry. 40% of the network would have to go down to 33% in terms of value. So each staker individually would lose something like almost 10 ETH if this were to happen on mainnet. And the solution to this is very simple. It's just like use consensus clients that are below 33% of network usage. So yeah, I think because like slashing is a bit like reduced now on the penalty side, diversity is going to be way more important, especially after what happened on the testnet recently. Yeah, and also like so on other features related to Pectra. So I guess the two main ones are, I don't know which one we want to start with, but there is the smart accounts that are coming with EIP 7702, and it's going to provide new UX flows. Maybe Nicolas, I know you worked a bit on well, you have more context than me on this side, and I'm quite sure your view on it is quite cool. You could say a few words about it.
Yeah, 7702 was a big baby, let's say. It has a long history. Initially, it was a proposal from years ago. It was 3074 who got included into Pectra. But right after this inclusion, a lot of account abstraction people raised concerns. So we changed the EIP. Famously, Vitalik wrote this last minute EIP. And yeah, it's going to be the first big wallet UX improvement for Ethereum at least in the last 4 or 5 years. So yeah, very excited to see this. The quick TLDR is you can now attach a pointer to your old Ethereum account, and this pointer will point to a smart contract that will be able to execute logic for you. So this enables a world of possibilities for traditional wallets.
Thanks. Yeah, this is very like a game changer on the wallet side. And the other side is about blobs. So as you probably know, blobs were introduced like in the last upgrade of Ethereum, likely almost a year ago or something. And the idea behind it is to enable L2s to be able to push their state to L1 without paying a crazy amount of gas fees. And so there is, there are like improvements to like each upgrade of Ethereum, like from 1 year ago to like probably like the next few years is going to have improvements regarding blobs to help L2 scaling. And I guess this is also like a part of the long-term plan of the EF regarding like the ecosystem later. And yeah, maybe you could share your view on I don't know, how do you see the Ethereum ecosystem like the L1 versus L2 in 2 years or 3 years?
So I wouldn't frame it as like L1 versus L2, but I would say we are going to have more focus on scaling the L1, which was a little bit on the side with the previous upgrades. But yeah, now we realize with research, with time, that L1 scaling was also needed in order to have like very good L2s. So the blob is the main lever to scale both the L1 and L2, because basically blob makes more space for L2, so it makes less congestion on L1. So it's really a symbiotic upgrade. And yeah, then we have a few other levers to scale on L1. So the quick TLDR roadmap is like scaling Ethereum L1, scaling blobs, and improving UX. That's the 3 focuses for Ethereum in the next few years.
Nice. Yeah, I guess that's it for like the features on the Pectra side.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe.
get to the Q&A. We have a few questions I see. So let's start. So will there be an API available from Kiln to estimate the queues? I believe this is already live within Kiln Connect APIs. I think we also have an integration on the dashboard of this. So happy to share you some docs on it. But on docs.api.kiln.fi, you should see that. Then question, do we still earn reward while validators are being consolidated? So there is a small delay when you are consolidating, for the consolidation basically to be taken into account by the consensus layer and actually performed, where there may be like some down, like no rewards basically, but it's still like a ratio basically between doing the consolidation and actually exiting the validator and staking it back, which can actually take way more longer than doing the consolidation directly. So yeah, I'd say still way lower than what you can do with the current staking setup. So still interesting. So how much transaction fee would be required for consolidation? Is the same as for regular staking? Interesting question. So consolidation brings kind of a new flow on Ethereum. There would be official consolidation contract that will be deployed. And to perform a consolidation, you will do a transaction to this consolidation contract saying, I want, as the withdrawal credential of my source validator, to consolidate my source validator to this target validator. That's the content of the transaction. And with this transaction, you attach a fee. And this fee is basically changing. It's computed exponentially based on the consolidation happening on the network. So I think if there is around like 650 consolidation pending on these contracts, it will not be worth to perform the consolidation. So you would have to wait a bit for the queue to dequeue basically to perform your consolidation next. So yeah, this is something to monitor. That's why also we added this feature to the Kiln dashboard to make sure you can monitor these queue lengths, so you can have the fee costs at any time when you want to perform this consolidation transaction. But just to mention, if there is like almost no consolidation, like less than 100 happening on the network, the fee is like a few ways, so it's really nothing operationally.
We actually missed one at the top. How is the withdrawal queue going to be affected by Pectra? Or do you think you just covered that in your answer?
No, we didn't. Maybe Seb, you want to take this one? Or
Yeah, so basically, like, there will be like no change at a high level on the way you can exit Ethereum if from the staking side. By this I mean like if you have a 64 ETH validator, like an O2 64 ETH validator, and you want to exit it, it's going to take the same time as having two 32 ETH validator to go out. So the dynamics of the queue in terms of ETH volume, in terms of what goes in the system and what goes out, is not changed. So yeah, I think we have a lot of questions. Let's try to go to the next.
So maybe that's a question for Nicolas. Will 4844 bring ETH burn rates even more down? Last 40 days, Blobs have been #1 fee burner of ETH along with ETH transfers.
So that's an interesting question. So the fees are really low at the moment. So I am not sure how this is gonna evolve. So I don't want to like give a false indication. But yeah, short answer, like 4844 lowered the baseline ETH burn rate because rollup switched from the expensive cold data to a cheaper blob space. So in the first few months, the ETH burn was like way less than before. Now obviously like blobs are the biggest burner because demand occasionally like pushes the usage above 3 blob target, causing the blob base fee to rise. So this is this is a change that was expected to happen. 4844 already happened for those who didn't follow. So I think it's kind of hard to give precise estimation on like where it's gonna go depending on usage and demand. What is sure is that we are gonna push for more blobs, and so for like more of this cheaper blob space. Does it mean that like necessarily we're gonna like burn less ETH? it's not necessarily the case. So there's a lot of factors going into the equation for this. So yeah, hard to give a precise answer, but short answer, we're gonna have more plot in the future.
That's the way to go. Cool. So yeah, next question from the mode calculation you used to get the 1.54 improvement. So just to be clear, this is 1.54% of your APY on consensus layer reward. So that's basically 1.54% of 65% of your APY improvement with compounding, and that's just like the compounding rate, which you can find on the EIP directly. So yeah, apply to the consensus rewards. So just to be clear, it's like an extra 1.54% APY is 1.54% of this consensus layer APY. Do you allow batch consolidation? Yeah, we will enable that. Just note that as the consolidation needs to be performed from the withdraw credential, it needs to happen directly on the withdraw credential wallet. So you will need the 7702 transaction type, so transaction type 4, which is coming with Pectra, to be able to call a smart contract from your wallet to perform this batch consolidation. You won't have the issue if you already have like a smart contract wallet, for example, which you can directly perform it from. But if you have an EOA, MPC wallet, or something like that, you will need to support your custody solution or your wallet solution to support the transaction of type 4 to perform this batch consolidation. And of course, we'll enable that in the dashboard. What is the EF view regarding the mentioned diversity risk? So I guess that's a question for you, Nicolas. We mentioned that diversity risk becomes kind of the main risk for stakers post Pectra. Is there any community movement around that?
Yeah, so we have a long history of supporting staking diversity. Basically, anyone that wants Ethereum to succeed long term, I think, is also a supporter of client diversity. So we've been pushing historically. We've been pushing through blog posts and talks. I think this is very good, and we will keep doing it. One additional thing that I would like for the EF to do is to get in touch directly with the distributors, aka wallets, staking operators, and have a common understanding of what are good levels, and yeah, push the big operators to be able to switch. For example, I know that Kiln is actually able to switch between 4 or 5 different consensus clients, and yeah, this is the behavior we would like to see, and I think it's a behavior that benefits to everyone. So we will be pushing for diversity, client diversity, even more than before. And with the staking industry maturing, we expect this rebalance of the client to happen faster than before. So answer is yes, we will keep pushing for client diversity, and we might even explore new ways to push for this, directly collaborating with teams that expose staking features to users.
Great, thank you. So we have 2 minutes left, so we'll do a speed run of the the next question. And for those who couldn't answer, we'll send I guess a follow-up emails and resources for you. So on auto validator and error detection, will everything be available through API? Yes, that will be available so we can connect API. Does the correlation penalty formula change?
I said take this one. It's adapted to like handle auto validators, but at a high level, it's in terms of /if, it's the same.
Considering the roadmap, which of the pillars of the roadmap extra upgrade implies? So I have the list right here. It's the merge, but mainly like the scourge and the splurge, which are focused on staking and concept abstraction. Then, if a huge amount of the total stake is consolidated, should we expect the sweep delay to decrease from 2 days, 9 days to something significant?
Yes, in theory, yes.
Yeah, the skimming delay will go down as the number of validator active go down. Do we need to wait for some time to see how things go after Pectra, or should we consolidate once Pectra is live? I mean, what we encourage our customers to do is to try the consolidation as soon as possible after Pectra to start seeing how they could manage their staking infra with it, and then scale it over time to the consolidation infrastructure. And we are here to help on that. Does partial withdrawal also need to go into withdrawal queue? So yes, yeah. There's the exit flow as well. Do you expect the cost of converted skimming validator to compounding validator to be high? If so, how high? It will depend mainly on the number of consolidation happening on the network. We expect it to be maybe quite constant from over time. So yeah, it should be pretty low. We think like there won't be like millions of consolidation per day because there is only 1 million validator, right? So yeah, maybe there will be some peaks at the beginning, but that should be it. Once partial staking visits are on the EL layer, can we pay extra gas or tip in order to exit faster? No, so you will just join the queue that's already there. You will just pay more as if the queue is bigger, but you will still be put at the end of the queue, at the end of the penny queue. So yeah, I guess we went through all of the main questions. So yeah, let's wrap it up.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. There's some resources that we'll share after the call, and there's also links here if you want to try them out. We'll share it directly after. But thank you so much for joining. Hope you found it useful. And yeah, look out for the new features coming in Kiln dashboard next week. Hope to speak to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nicola. Bye.